T-Wolves beat the Hawks 109-106 on the same night. Denver loses to the Spurs. We got a lot to go over. I got our expert, Sam, the man Ekstrom. He's going to help us break it all down. It's all coming up next on the Locked On Wolves POSTCAST.
You are Locked On Wolves POSTCAST, part of Locked On Minnesota on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up? What's up? Back in the lab, back at it. Another T-Wolves POSTCAST episode right here on the Locked On Sports Minnesota Network. You got myself, Luke Inman, at Luke_Spinman. That's the man right there, Sam Ekstrom. He's on X, at Sam Ekstrom. And before we get into all the action, Sam, quick reminder, tonight's episode brought to us by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook and official sportsbook partner of the NBA. All right, buddy, just an absolute roller coaster. If you're a Wolves fan, these last 2, 3, 4 days have been kind of tough. You lose to Denver on Wednesday night, obviously. Everybody got juiced up for that one. Everybody's kind of bumming out. One seed, for all intents purposes, kind of slipped through your hands. Now you got to pick yourself back up, though, by the bootstraps. Get ready to hold on to this 2 seed because you got OKC breathing down your neck. Here comes Atlanta tonight. Trae Young back in the mix, coming off that pinky injury, by the way. Kind of a lot of lulls in this one for both teams. Wolves go on a nice run in the first half, late in the second quarter. They go up 9 at halftime to go into the locker room. Hawks, though, they come storming back. They go on a 14-0 run of themselves, and then you're thinking, oh, no, here we go. Wolves get their act together near the end. This one comes down to the wire. All while that's going on, I just want to preface this. The Target Center crowd, I don't know if you watched it in person, but the Target Center crowd, they were rocking because at this point in the game, at this juncture, they were finding out in real time up on the scoreboard, the Denver Nuggets, they lost to who? The Spurs by 1 point. Let me say that again. The Nuggets lose to the Spurs tonight. So just kind of another unbelievable turn of events in this, what has been a roller coaster of a season for this Wolves team. Anthony Edwards, he was kind of under the weather tonight. He comes in, makes 2 huge free throws with 20 seconds left to go up 3. Wolves hold on to it, 109-106. Things get even more jumbled now, Sam, atop the West again. OKC still in the mix. And with 1 game to play, Wolves could still be the 1, 2, or 3 seed, if I'm not mistaken. But we'll get into all that here in a second. Just start with your biggest takeaways from what we just watched, and then we'll get into the playoff picture here in a second.
Sounds good. And Luke and I are on top of the scenarios. We're going to clear it up for you. There's some discussion going on in the chat. Some of you are right. Some of you are wrong. That's a good tease. We'll tell you who's right and who's wrong in a moment. But I'm not going to pat the Wolves on the back for this win. Atlanta pulled their guys in the fourth quarter. Like, the Wolves needed to win this game, and thank goodness they did. Because this is a team they were favored to beat by 12.5. Kind of felt like the Wizards game. It's like the Wolves just need the playoffs to be here. It's like they can't put their best foot forward against some of these. And I know Atlanta's technically a play-in tournament team. They're the 10 seed in the East. But this is not a highly competitive basketball team. You know, Trae Young's been out a bit. He is back in the mix. They can be plucky. They beat the Wolves in the 3rd game of the year. The Wolves should be beating this team by 12.5. I mean, it should not have been as close as it was, and they took their foot off the pedal up by 17 in the second half. So I guess let's pat Cat on the back. He hits a big shot in the fourth quarter. Karl Anthony Towns, foul trouble early, goes 4 of 11, not like the best kind of, not debut, but, re-entry to the lineup we've ever seen. 1 of 6 from 3, but the one out of 6 was a big one, put him ahead when they were down 100-98. And give Rudy Gobert his flowers. Perfect game, 10 of 10, 19 boards, 25 rebounds, and Cat getting the Rudy chant going afterward. I thought I was watching, Sean Austin and Notre Dame football out there. Somebody was going to get carried off the floor on their teammates' shoulder pads.
Okay, Ron Johnson, don't go too many movie references already. It's only segment 1. A lot to get into. I love those bullet points. Great takeaways. We got to talk about Cat a little bit more in depth. But first, let's just talk about Ant real quick. Under the weather, as mentioned, only 2 points, 5 minutes into the second quarter, 3 fouls up to that point. So now he's in foul trouble as well. Super slow start. 0 from 5 from 3, ends with 14 points, made some big plays in the second half. But Sam, sometimes you kind of get these quieter nights, a little off nights from this guy. Obviously, less often than not. But was this a game you kind of just chalk up to, guy's clearly under the weather, must be sick. Hopefully he's, feeling himself come playoff time? Because if this is the Ant you get in game one, let's say the playoffs, not ideal.
No. And I get a little weary sometimes of Ant's off nights. He under the weather, I get it. He does have a knack for hitting some big shots in the fourth quarter, like he did tonight when they were up 101-100. He hits the next 2 field goals to give them some cushion. Really nice turnaround jumper, nice bank shot. I mean, Ant does find a way to muster that energy when it matters, and maybe he's saving it. I mean, maybe he is saving it for the playoffs, because there have been a lot of nights, often against inferior opponents, when he doesn't necessarily give it, all 4 quarters. Now tonight, we can give him that pass. Maybe under the weather, 14, 4-4, not a great stat line, only 27 minutes. So they did conserve him a little bit. He didn't play his usual allotment. And a lot of people pointed out on Twitter that with Cat in the mix, they actually sat Ant at the 6-minute mark of the first quarter. He usually plays the whole first. That could have been illness related, and was a little out of his rhythm tonight. So that's the deal with Ant. Can I derail your script, Luke? I think we need to tell people about the tiebreakers here.
Go ahead. Yeah. The chat's going nuts. Yeah. Do you have some, I know there is a lot of confusion again, what was said on the broadcast perhaps versus what people were saying on social media and Twitter and all those things. So if you have some clarity for us, please divulge what you got.
Yep. So I guarantee you, this is not guesswork. This is correct. We are in a 3-way tie scenario. So unfortunately, the Wolves have the 2-way tiebreaker against the Thunder. They have the 2-way tiebreaker against Denver. They do not have the 3-way tiebreaker. The 3-way tiebreaker between the Thunder, Nuggets, and Wolves is record against the combined teams. So if you look at that, the Thunder have a 3-1 record against Denver, and they have a 2-2 record against the Wolves. That gives them a 5-3 record against the group. The Wolves' record against the group is 4-4 because they split the season series with both. So by 1 game, the Thunder have the 3-way tiebreaker. It's not conference record, as Bally indicated during the broadcast. I think they got a little caught up in the excitement. Certainly didn't expect Denver to lose, but didn't also anticipate OKC surging up and tying them. And unfortunately, Luke, OKC plays the Mavericks on Sunday. The Mavericks are sitting their guys. It's in OKC. Seems unlikely the Wolves are going to get that 1 seed despite all the hoopla tonight, which is kind of a buzzkill.
It's super buzzkill. And again, just a range of emotions, more roller coaster going on back and forth. Very confusing, if I'm going to be totally honest. And we'll see once the dust settles, I'm sure it'll become a little less convoluted. But does this mean the Wolves technically not out of the 1 seed? But do you feel like the chances are more likely or greater that they'll end up as the 2 seed right now? Or is this something that we even maybe have to worry about the 3 seed being more likely than the 2 seed at this point? Just knowing what you know.
2 seed is in pretty good shape.
Okay.
The Wolves would have the tiebreaker over the Nuggets to be the 2. So
now the Nuggets drop from the 1 seed to the 3 seed?
Correct.
Wow.
The Nuggets could have the 3, which is a big shakeup because of their loss tonight. It sounds like Wemby scored like 17 points in 3 minutes or something absurd. Nuggets were way up in that game. So good for Wemby. But the Wolves now are taking on a Phoenix team. We'll have to see what happens tonight, because it's possible that Phoenix will have nothing to play for. If the Pelicans win and Phoenix were to lose, I believe, or some combination, Phoenix could be stuck in the 7. They could have no way to advance out of the play-in tournament. And that would give the Wolves a pretty big edge, because I'm sure Durant, what's Durant going to play in a meaningless game to end the season?
Why would you?
Why would you put that at risk? So that would help the Wolves out a lot to ensure that too.
Okay, plenty to dive into still remaining here. Segment 2 and 3, we'll continue to talk about the seeding, the playoff projection, everything else. I just want to bring up Cat here real quick. How great was it just to see that man back on the court after 5 weeks of rehab? I mean, it goes without saying the difference he makes, the talent he brings to the court. Obviously, a little rust coming out the gate early, still trying to find his shot, maybe his tempo, his rhythm a little bit. That was to be expected, though. But at the same time, you looked at his numbers at halftime. He was low key on a triple double watch because at halftime he had 7 assists. His season high was 9. So he was moving the ball and kind of adjusted to the new look Wolves we've seen without him the past 4 or 5 weeks pretty well. He ends with 11 points, 8 assists, 5 boards. I guess what jumped out to you the most after not seeing this man for 5 weeks?
Yeah, I think the 8 assists, and I appreciated the 8 assists because he did not try to overdo it. He didn't play hero ball in this game, trying to pronounce himself back in some big grand way with a 35-point game. I thought he wanted to fit into the flow and, played 28 minutes. That's a pretty good reintegration minutes-wise. That's a good sign that he'll be set to play the full allotment come playoff time. But distributing the basketball, rebounding. This was something Johnny K, I think it was, who pointed out that the Wolves without Cat actually had a significant drop in rebounding margin, and they won the rebounding battle tonight 44-40. Rudy did a lot of that heavy lifting, but Cat chipped in as well.
I know you mentioned it, Rudy Gobert. Are you kidding me, man? 25 points, 19 rebounds. You don't win this game without him. I know you mentioned Atlanta. They pulled a bunch of guys. I get it. But with Rudy, man, we kind of gloss over it almost because it's just so consistent at this point. 81 games we've seen this now for the most part, right? I know it's not always sexy. It's maybe not always splashy or fun, but how outstanding was this guy tonight? And also, how excited are you? I feel like we don't talk about this. How excited are you to see this kind of new and improved Rudy Gobert and what he looks like in the playoffs? Because that's a guy who's taken some heat, right? Some criticism come playoff time with the way he's kind of, I don't want to say buckled under pressure or anything, but just maybe not risen up to playoff expectations in the past.
Yeah, I'm pretty psyched to see playoff Rudy because he's taken a lot of bows and arrows with Utah, a lot of early exits with Utah, and he bore the brunt of a lot of that because he wasn't able to defend the perimeter as well. Teams exposed him as unable to sort of close out and get out on shooters. But now he's on a team that has a lot of great perimeter defenders. I think that's a big difference between here in Utah, where he can really do what he's best at, which is repel the rim and then let the other guys close out really hard. And I think Rudy Gobert, yes, last year he was in the playoffs with the Wolves, but also they were the 8th seed, and there was a lot of baggage with the punch of Kyle Anderson, and the team didn't have Nas, and it was hard for him to really make a statement. Now he's back in the same spot. Now he is a favorite in the playoffs like he was with Utah and can show what he's made of in a playoff setting.
All right, well said. Plenty more deep dive to get into right after this. Quick reminder, tonight's episode brought to us by Stitch Fix. And I always feel my best when I use Stitch Fix because with Stitch Fix, you get your own personal stylist who understands your style, size, and most importantly, your budget. And the best part is they do all the shopping for you. That makes it, without a doubt, the easiest way to update your wardrobe closet this spring season. All you got to do, tell your stylist your size, style, and budget, and they'll take care of the rest. And my favorite part, no subscription required. You just order a new box how you want it, when you want it. And if you don't like it, no problem. You just send it back on the house, free shipping, free returns, free exchanges. It's style that makes you feel as good as you look. So go get started today at stitchfix.com/lockedon. That's stitchfix.com/lockedon. Okay, you kind of tease it a little bit. Still, a lot can happen, from now until Sunday, which is just so crazy. We played 81 games, and still there's such a contrast in the window of where they could end up come playoff time. 2 seed, it sounds like, most likely, from what you kind of broke down. 3 seed potentially, depending on what happens in that Phoenix game. But I know we just talked about it a few days ago. I'm going to ask you again. Dream scenario in the first round of the playoffs, nightmare scenario in the first round of the playoffs. Matchup wise, what's it all look like?
So at this point, I think I almost have to assume the 2. The one's in play.
Sure.
It is in play.
Sure.
So I guess the dream scenario would weirdly be the Warriors, maybe, and they've won 9 of 10. Like, the Warriors are playing really, really good
Oh,
basketball
boy.
right now. It is. There's not going to be an easy matchup. As the 2 seed, you're vying between, or you're choosing between, the Suns and the Lakers. Wolves are 0-2 against the Suns, and they play them again Sunday. Against the Lakers, they probably have a little better shot, but you're going against the GOAT. You're going against LeBron and AD, who wreaked havoc on them in LA. Granted, they didn't have Rudy. There's always these asterisks, Luke. It's so hard to know what was meaningful in the regular season, because almost every game you can say, well, they were missing a piece. We were missing a piece. They were on a back-to-back. We were on a back-to-back. It seems like all the games have something like that. So it's really hard to get a clear indication of where you stack up. I think the Wolves, I want to say the Wolves and Lakers played both healthy in Minneapolis, and the Wolves beat them by 1 when LeBron's foot was on the line.
That's right. Yeah, right. Yep.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm going to take the Lakers over the Suns. The Lakers are aging. They could get hurt at any minute. That bench is a little more unreliable. And Phoenix, they've had the Wolves number, which is throwing me off. They've been so inconsistent.
Yeah, and we're going to preview that Phoenix game in segment 3 just real quick, but they could exercise some demons if they do play the starters, and now you get them at home, and now all of a sudden, if you can beat them, take care of business, all of a sudden, all that other kind of bad mojo coming into this game, the way the Phoenix Suns have kind of dominated you the last 2 games, all of a sudden that goes out the window, man. It's what have you done for me lately kind of league, kind of sport, and all of a sudden you feel a lot better about that matchup as well. As Random Planet pointed out here, the 3 seed, is that the worst case scenario? Looking at the Pelicans matchup, just matchup, talking X's and O's matchup wise, does that scare you a little bit more than even the Warriors with the 2 seed?
Yeah, I would love. See, I've got a notebook of notes, Luke. A lot of scribblings of a madman, and
Einstein over here. Okay,
somewhere in these notes, I have jotted down
right here. Yeah,
it's astrophysics, or whatever nuclear physics. I don't know what Oppenheimer studied.
Yeah,
but somewhere in this notebook, I'm not going to find it, are Zion Williamson stats the last 2 years when he plays the Timberwolves, and it is ugly for Minnesota. He shot 64%, I want to say, and he averaged about 35 a game. The guy's been unbelievable, and he's kind of he's like the one big that seems like he has the cheat code to beat Rudy and Cat inside. He's so strong. He can shoot, keeps you honest. The Pelicans are not the matchup anybody wants, and yet they aren't playing great right now. They've been struggling. Zion had a little finger injury. They're 5-5 in their last 10, so they're not exactly surging to the finish. You could talk yourself into any of these matchups, Luke, or talk yourself out of any of these matchups. You're going to be facing a star on all of these teams, and they're going to have, at minimum, 45 wins on the year, 48 wins on the year. I mean, their record is going to be really strong.
Yeah, no, well said there. Good breakdown. I don't feel great about either one right now, but I'm a Minnesota sports fan just in general. So, hey, I don't really feel great about anything with our sports team come playoff time, but maybe this Timberwolves team can snap the curse or the streak, so to speak, and all of a sudden things can look a little bit better. I just remember on Wednesday, you and I were talking about kind of X factors come playoff time. You mentioned Jaden McDaniels was your guy. I thought that made a lot of sense as well. By the way, he's got to be kind of one of these unsung heroes come playoff time. 11 points, 3 boards, 1 block tonight. What'd you see from him tonight, if you saw him specifically, if you were watching him? And do you still think he can be kind of that wild card in the postseason that can kind of help bail out this team when they need a spark?
Yeah, so McDaniels tonight goes 3 of 4 from 3-point range. And that's when you love J-Mac, is because he is often left open because there's so many other guys that demand more respect. Of late, I have not had a lot of confidence when, and they, to their credit, they've trusted J-Mac to take a lot of big shots, and he trusts himself to take a lot of big shots.
Yeah.
Of late, they haven't exactly been falling. There've been a couple of games where he's had a lot of looks. I want to say maybe the Bulls game as an example, Nuggets game as well, games they lost, where J-Mac had opportunities to make shots in the fourth quarter and didn't come through. I don't think he's a cinch outside shooter. We know this about him. Like, we know that the offense comes and goes. So with J-Mac, I just want him to stay within himself, right? Don't get too trigger happy. Take it as it comes to you. I don't need more than 6 to 8 shots a game. Try to shoot 50% from the field, high percentage looks. And if you get an open three where there's no one within 10 feet of you, please knock it down. And I know, you can't be scared when you're on the court. You got to shoot if you're open. But his ability to make open looks, it fluctuates. So hopefully he gets on a hot streak in the postseason.
How much more confident are you in Cat coming back just the way he has and being a full go come playoff time now? Like, I know you've talked about a lot. This is a great point you pointed out. He didn't need a ramp up last year after he missed 51 games. He was ready to roll. He come out guns a-blazing. Is this kind of the dream scenario in a way? You get 2 quick ones under your belt, kind of get that timing down, the cohesion, knock some rust off in a way, and then all of a sudden the hope is, right? Dream scenario. Now you're kind of in a little bit more full swing. You got your stamina back and things like that come playoff time, game 1. Just overall thoughts, I guess, with Cat back in the mix and what it looks like in the playoffs now after what you saw tonight specifically.
Yeah, well, we talked about Rudy Gobert being much maligned from his Utah days. Well, how about Cat's playoff reputation? I mean, it's not exactly sterling. Obviously hasn't won a playoff series, but he's got 5 of his 16 playoff games where he scored 11 or less. That's not acceptable. He was
I'm sure if you look at turnovers and fouls and technical and all that stuff too, I don't think any of that goes in his favor as well. Sorry to cut you off.
No, that's fine. Well, you're absolutely right. That was my next point. The foul situation, foul trouble, getting 2 or 3 fouls in the first half and then becoming a non-factor. He fouled out in games 4 and 5 of the Nuggets series last year. So like he has to prove something. He gets a little too amped in these big games, and he has to play within himself as well. So I think as much as his health, it's like him conquering some of these demons that have plagued him in the postseason and overcoming that, playing sound defensively and showing up, which has been a little hit or miss with him.
I got a fun one here for you. What's more likely? The Timberwolves making it to the Western Conference Championship, right? Or your Minnesota Twins repeating as AL Central Division champs. What do you think? Slow start, but hey, it's a grind, baby. It's a gauntlet of a season. Don't worry.
Well, Correa's out now. Oblique strain tonight.
Love that.
Yeah.
Not what you want. Okay, so
is the AL Central good, actually? Like the Guardians and Royals?
Everybody said that Central was going to be so bad. It was going to be the worst division in baseball. And I get it. I mean, it's not a powerhouse by any means, but I think it is going to be better. And we've already seen a little small sample size of that. I think the Central is going to be better than what everybody made it out to be, with the national media and sports, baseball experts and things like that. They made it sound like Twins would be able to just walk right in to the, Central Division champs again. I don't think that's going to be the case.
Yeah, I think the Wolves are more likely. So to win 2 playoff series, I think it's more likely. I think the Wolves are a legitimate basketball team. I'm not sure the Twins are a legitimate baseball team. So I'm going to go with the Wolves winning 2 playoff series. As a 2 seed, you get home court in both of those series, which helps them out a little bit. They've been so good at home. Can't wait to get to a game, hopefully, at Target Center this postseason. It's going to be so good. They've sold out every game, Luke. They're going to go 41 for 41, I think, selling out Target Center. How cool is that?
One of my buddies who hopefully is listening right now, I won't name names, but he's been a season ticket holder for over a decade, I would say. I just think about all the season ticket holders out there that have been with this team through thick and thin during that brutal stretch and brutal run. You couldn't even give away some of these tickets, man. How much fun are fans like that? Everybody's having fun, but some of those season ticket holders, those lifers, Sam, have got to be just absolutely jacked up right now. This has got to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think the most satisfying seasons of a team's like success arc are it's the early success when you haven't had it for a while, when you get to experience it after a long drought. Once you do it for a couple of years, I guess the luster wears off and all the expectations get higher, and it's harder and harder to get that rush, right, of a good basketball team. You have to keep going further and further to really be satisfied. So appreciate this, like relish having a season like this after so long being a doormat, being a fringe playoff team the past couple of years. Now you're a legit contender. So for good reason, Target Center has been popping.
Yeah. Well said. Beautifully said. All right, don't go anywhere. We're going to look ahead to the Wolves' final game of the year. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, tonight's episode brought to us by eBay Motors. Let's get that graphic up there. Come on. eBay Motors. What brings home the winning trophy is what also keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors, they got everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to the ultimate peak performance. Superchargers to roof racks, eBay Motors, they got it all. Check this out. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay's Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay's Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. All right, quick little preview. Game 82. Can you believe it, man? Wolves' final game of the regular season. It's a rematch versus the Suns, who just took them to the tool shed just a week ago. Wolves kind of looking for some revenge and just mentally hoping to exercise some demons here, as I mentioned earlier. In what ways, Sam, do you think things are going to look different this time around? As in, what big adjustments are you expecting Finch and the guys to kind of implement after a quick turnaround from last week? And again, you brought up a great point. There's a chance the Suns may not roll with their starters as well. So we don't know what this thing could look like.
Yeah, we'll reiterate that it's very possible the Suns will be locked into the 7th seed. They won't have any way to get out of the play-in tournament. So if you're locked in, I don't know if you even do what Atlanta did tonight. Atlanta played their guys for 3 quarters, and they wanted to see Trae Young get more integrated. He's been hurt. Mm-hmm. With Phoenix, with older veterans like Durant, I don't see any reason why you play them. So Phoenix could be throwing out a little more ragtag of a team. Might see a lot of Josh Okogie. Might see a lot of Keita Bates Diop, other former Wolves, good friends from, Thaddeus Young, other former Wolves. A lot of guys off their
nice
bench.
Name drop. That's great.
I'm just looking at the roster. I don't even know. David Arati. Is he on the Suns? I thought he was on the Grizzlies. I'm confused. But anyway, the Suns may not be at full strength, but you know what the Suns do? The Suns shoot. The Suns can fill it up. Grayson Allen is a great shooter. Bradley Beal can get hot. Like, they are going to score. But what they've done, too, against the Wolves the first 2 games is defend. They've defended the Wolves really well. And I think the Wolves are certainly more vulnerable offensively than they are defensively. Like, when they lost to them the other night, it was 97-87. That was like a 1990s score. Nobody broke 100 in that game. But the Wolves' offense is vulnerable to disappearing at times. And I don't know what times of day all these games are starting. It's possible the Wolves could see the scoreboard. They could see I guess now, granted, the Wolves do have to win to keep that 2 seed. I was going to say the Wolves could be resting too, but no, they've got to win to keep the 2. So stand corrected. So the Wolves do have to go 4 full quarters. So I think that I would almost embrace the Suns to be fully healthy just to give the Wolves a little more reason to bring their best. Wolves get 6 days of rest after this game. Mm-hmm. And they do need to exorcise some demons, like you said, Luke. So this is a good chance for them to do that. And if they win, 57 wins on the season, second best in franchise history.
Unbelievable. I'm sitting here just smiling. And again, we could all be frustrated about this goofy 3-way tie. How does OKC sneak their way up there? But man, I'll reiterate. I'll say it again. Imagine being a Denver Nugget fan right now. Imagine being the Nuggets right now. You just beat the Wolves. You got the 1 seed. All we got to do is beat the Spurs and the Grizzlies, and you can't do it. And you don't just drop 1 spot. You drop 2 spots to the 3 seed. Absolutely unbelievable. Can't get over it. All right, we're 99% done through this season now. Let's hand out some quick awards here. Rapid fire, 30 seconds each, all Wolves related, obviously. I'll start with a fun one here for you. Who's Mr. Pay It Forward on this team? The guy who doesn't get, the recognition all the time, but constantly is giving when it comes to having that team basketball mentality.
J-Mac. And by J-Mac, I mean Jordan McLaughlin. Yeah. Jordan McLaughlin, just he distributes. He hits the shots when he's called upon. makes the right decisions, plays unselfishly. He's one of my favorite Timberwolves. He's probably the most lovable guy off that bench, maybe behind Naz Reid. He is awesome.
A lot of people in the stream saying nah, but you could go either way for that. And who knows?
I respect that.
You may end up saying nah when this is all said and done anyways. Don't worry. He may get a reward. All right, next one. Coach's pet. Who's Chris Finch's favorite coach on the court or guy that just makes his life as easy as possible?
I mean, that's got to be Mike Conley, right?
Yeah,
That's bite. Mike Conley has been a resurgent player this year. I don't think we saw the best version of him last year when he came over via trade, got the full off season, got to start day one with this team, having a career year in some senses. He's probably not the athlete he used to be, but smart up here. What a player. He's been fun to watch.
Well said. That's what I would have gone with as well. Who's the team mechanic? When things go wrong, things need to be fixed. Who's the guy that comes in and can kind of play mechanic the most?
That's a really good one, because I could arguably say it's Conley again, but I'm gonna go Anderson. I think to be a mechanic, you have to have a lot of toolsy knowledge. You have to know how to use different mechanisms, and you got to be versatile, and you have to have a wide skill set. And I think that Slow-Mo has that with his rebounding, defense, distribution, his kind of like sneakily deep bag of moves with the Euro step, the slow Euro, the floater, a little fadeaway jump shot that he pulls out sometimes. He actually has a pretty nice toolbox.
All right, I'm going to let you pick for these next two. Most improved player from last year to now, most improved, or a guy you're most excited to see next season in potentially a bigger or expanded role. Either one you want. Go ahead.
Rudy's most improved.
Yeah.
Rudy, and like Bill Simmons was actually touching on this in his podcast. Rudy could be the most improved player in the NBA when you look at his impact from and he won't win it, but he could win it. Like year one with the Wolves to now, unbelievable. Like totally looks like a totally different guy.
Yeah, when we were talking about the team mechanic, I was thinking, okay, things are going wrong. Who comes in and kind of fixes that up a little bit? Sometimes that has been Naz Reid this year as well. So that's what I was thinking. Who's the team's backyard bully, the guy you want on your side in an alleyway or bar fight? Who's that guy? I don't think it's Rudy Gobert. I don't think it's the tallest guy on the team necessarily. I really don't.
I don't know. My mind just goes to the Draymond headlock and Rudy's reaction. Naz is my choice. I want Naz on my team in any situation ever. He's like tenacious. He's got kind of there's some dog to him, right? Like he's really, really tough, but he's also really, really smart. And I love Naz's game.
Not Jaden McDaniels. If you need one punch, Jaden. No.
Ooh, well, if we're talking about punchers, we got Rudy.
We don't want
Rudy
Jaden
in the mix.
No.
Yeah, Jaden's the silent assassin. That's a good one.
Best media guy. Who gives the best interviews, the best quotes, best one-liners? Who do you think that is?
Yeah, Ant. That's Ant. Ant's got he's the viral quote guy. He doesn't censor himself. He says whatever's on his mind. He's unfiltered, which is refreshing.
All right, last one. Best drip, as the kids would say. Best sideline wardrobe. And I know everybody saw Cat, so that's fresh in his mind.
Dacian Nix, baby. Dacian Nix. I'm thinking of the winter coat. That's the answer. End of story.
The extra small kids winter coat. If you saw it, you know exactly what we're referring to. Funniest thing I've ever seen a grown man wear on the sidelines, sitting on the bench for a professional organization. Unbelievable. That was great. All right. Great stuff per usual, my man. T-Wolves win it 109-106. Final game of the year this Sunday. Excuse me. Rematch versus Phoenix. Tip off for that one, 2:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. As always, huge shout out to all you guys that joined us in the stream. Rest assured, we'll be back here each and every game, same time, same place, right here to break it all down. Make sure you go check out Sam, by the way, and the entire crew on the Minnesota basketball party. That's each and every Wednesday. Sam's hosting, our guy Jack Borman, Gophers legend Ron Johnson, Carol Evans, Reggie Wilson, and don't forget Ben Beacon, always ripping it up over on the Locked On Wolves podcast. That's each and every day as well. All right, that'll do it for us tonight. He's Sam Ekstrom. I'm Luke Inman on Twitter, @Luke_Spinman. Until next time, signing out.